Jack Shabrowski here. Hey, let's talk about the marketing strategy for Brightline West, the essence of your final project. This is the test of your marketing knowledge and ability to bring it to bear on a marketing opportunity and perhaps a little bit of a marketing problem. Spoiler alert, at the end of this, you'll know more about how to market the high-speed Brightline West high-speed train than you do right now. So let's go back to a little bit of the data. What are the three key functional benefits to riders of the Brightline West high-speed train? What are the functional benefits associated with this? Well, there are three basic functional benefits, right? Lower costs, right? One of the ways to pitch this train is to say it costs less to take the train than it does other alternative transportations between Southern California and Las Vegas. Second way to pitch this is that it's faster. It will get you there quicker. It goes 200 miles an hour. And of course, the third functional benefit is that it's more convenient. Now, you have to be a little careful when you say more convenient in terms of what do you mean. Um, a couple of ways to think about being more convenient is that it's just easier to get to, easier to get off of, easier to deal with than driving or flying. Another way to think about it as being more convenient is it's less stressful. And those of us who drive back and forth to Southern California or who live in Southern California and drive back and forth to Las Vegas on a regular basis know that the trip is can be a little stressful for the driver and sometimes even for the passengers. Sometimes there is frustration when you're driving if you when you run into traffic and or get delayed or get detoured or there's construction work done or all that sort of stuff. So I lump all those things sort of under maybe under more convenient. So and the question is that is it more convenient to take the train than it is to fly because we know that the airports are all a bit of a hassle. Getting in and out of the airport's a hassle. Um, and of course we might be able to pitch that getting um, to and in and off the train will be easier than dealing with the airports. So how does the Brightline West high speed train stack up on these three issues? Are the so we did the analysis. Remember I did the analysis. I gave you the numbers and then you did the analysis on this. And of course, the spoiler alert is that the answer to these questions already because you looked at the data. Is it cost less to take the high speed train than to drive or to fly? And of course, the answer is no. Is it dramatically more? Well, I don't know if you want to say it's dramatically more, but it is more expensive. Maybe 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, maybe 100% more expensive. Maybe it doubles the cost. But not necessarily. There are lots of factors that come into play here. But it's not cheaper. Is it faster? Um, and if the Brightline train is next to your house, the answer is yeah, it's faster. But for people who live in Southern California, it's not next to your house. In fact, it's likely to be a fairly substantial distance from your house. Um, and in Las Vegas, there's a little bit of the same thing that goes on in Las Vegas. But most of the issue here is, in terms of speed, is when we get to Southern California. Because even when the train gets to Rancho Cucamonga, now what? None of us took the train to California to go to Rancho Cucamonga. Um, there's not enough stuff going on there. So the question is, how do I get from Rancho Cucamonga to the place in Southern California I really wanted to go, downtown LA? Perhaps up in Sherman Oaks in the Valley, or let's say Disneyland. All of those are going to require some time and effort to get from Rancho Cucamonga to your actual location, whether it's your house or if you're coming from Las Vegas, your actual destination in Southern California. So, is it faster? No, it's not faster. Is it slower? Well, maybe it's not a lot slower. Maybe it's about the same, or but it's not faster. You can't pitch this as faster. Door to door, it's not faster. Is it more convenient? Well, the answer to this is the way it is currently set up and ready to go. The answer is probably not more convenient. Um, and the reason, of course, the reason again that it's not more convenient is the Rancho Cucamonga issue. If I'm in Southern California, how do I get to the train? As you remember we looked at the data. It's an hour to an hour and a half to get to the train from most of the places that you might start in Southern California. And you have to figure out how you're going to get there. Are you going to take $100 Uber? That's not very convenient. Are you going to have a friend drop you off? Well, that's probably more convenient for you than it is for your friend or your spouse or your son or daughter. Or you could take public transportation. Or you could drive yourself, in which case you've driven in traffic. And part of the worst part often of the trip between Las Vegas and Southern California, the Southern California part of the trip. So is it more convenient? And that's open for debate, I think. But the in general answer to this is probably not. So now what? How are we going to position and market the Brightline West high-speed train? That is, how are we going to market it compared to the competition? How is this a better alternative than driving? How is this a better alternative than flying? How is this a better alternative than taking the bus? I don't know, or whatever else the other alternatives are. But how is this better than those alternatives? How are we going to position it? And that's a critical question, because we can't just say, well, it's fast, take it. Or we can't just say it costs less, so take it. And remember, the costs go incrementally down for auto travel, for instance, when you add 2 or 3 people to the car. And but that's not true for planes, and that's not true for the train, right? I mean, those, because of the ticket prices. So we can't mark, and the issue of more convenient is also up in the air a little bit, I think, because of the whole Southern California setup. Nothing we can do about that in the very, very short run. Although you can make some recommendations in the product part of this about how to get people dispersed from Rancho Cucamonga in the fastest way possible. And I think that Brightline West ought to be working really, really, really hard on that probably right now. But how we're going to do this, how we're going to market this, and how our marketing strategy is going to be put together is going to take some real thought and a hard look at the data. The solution will take data-driven creativity, not just some sort of crazy creative idea like, we'll just use social media. That's not a marketing strategy. That's part of a communication tactic. But when we think about the strategy here, we need to think not just creatively, but we need to think data-driven creativity. That is, we need to have a logic behind our creative thought in terms of how we are going to get people to take the train for the first time, right? Initial train. And so it's going to take some thought about customer journey. It's going to take some thought about building awareness, but also inducing trial, going through the adoption process. But I have great confidence in you. You are becoming marketing professionals. You can figure this out. If you're willing to spend the time and effort on the project, you can figure this out. And it's a great test of your marketing acumen. I have great confidence in your ability. Good luck.